So one of the central questions of ecology is understanding where species occur and how they accumulate across the landscape. And particularly as humans, we tend to congregate in big cities like Charleston or Charlotte, North Carolina, where the population is high and density is super high. And lots of other organisms, like birds, for example, tend to do the same thing, where they accumulate in small pockets that kind of dot the landscape. For my research thesis, I was looking at biodiversity hotspots in these longleaf pines habitats. And so this is a rare habitat here in South Carolina. And particularly, I affectionately call it the Serengeti of the South. On the right-hand side of the picture, you can see it's dominated by large grasses, as well as scattered pine trees that kind of dot the landscape. And for the most part, this is what it looks like. But there are these small depressions that occur, like this picture on the left-hand side. Small depressions in the earth that accumulate groundwater and rainwater periodically throughout the year. And they support a whole host of specialist plant and organisms, things like gopher frogs and flatwood salamanders. But what about birds? Well, for my research thesis, I counted the number of birds, the number of bird species that I saw in these wetlands, and I compared them to the number of birds that I counted in these upland habitats that we call these wide open spaces with the pine trees and large grasses. And it turns out that there is both a greater number of species and a greater number of birds in these wetland habitats as opposed to these uplands where we counted as well. And so the upshot of that is we've identified essentially this biodiversity hotspot that's occurring in the landscape, right? These small little pockets. And kind of our central purpose of this is if birds are declining across all of North America, it's important for us to try and preserve the greatest number of birds and the greatest number of bird species that we can. And so by identifying these biodiversity hotspots, these ephemeral wetlands, within longleaf pine savanna habitat, we can begin to identify these other wet depressions and other habitat types across North America so that we can prioritize saving the greatest number of species which are